Metro Manila is now under Alert Level 2, following a surprise announcement by the palace last night. OCTA confirms NCR is now back to its pre-Delta surge COVID-19 figures. The Health Department slams the OCTA research group for their, quote, irresponsible case surge warning. President Duterte claims full responsibility over the death of mayors and drug lords under his bloody drug war, but insists that the ICC has no jurisdiction to prosecute these cases. And it's starting to look like the most wonderful time of the year, with the iconic Christmas decorations already up over at Ayala Avenue. Fast, focused, and fearless. Here's everything you need to know as you jumpstart your day. I'm Charles Lejano. Kicking off today's newscast with Metro Manila downgrading to Alert Level 2 starting today. The sudden move was announced by presidential spokesperson Harry Roque last night. The interagency task force approved the de-escalation of NCR to Alert Level 2 until November 21. Starting December 1, alert level assignments shall be determined every 15th and 30th of the month, and escalations may be done at any time in the middle of implementation as warranted, while de-escalations can only be done at the end of the 2-week period. Here are the guidelines for Alert Level 2. Intrazonal and interzonal travel is allowed, subject to the restrictions set by LGUs. Gaming establishments and other betting establishments are still not allowed to operate, except if authorized by the IATF or the Office of the President. Meanwhile, those flashed on your screens will be allowed to operate at a maximum of 50% indoor capacity and 70% outdoor capacity. Per usual, indoor venues will only be allowed for the fully vaccinated and minors, even if unvaccinated, and all employees of these establishments must also be fully vaccinated against COVID-19. Notably, residential gatherings of people not belonging to the same household is also allowed under Alert Level 2. Limited in-person classes are also allowed at the same capacity for approved basic education, higher education, and technical or vocational training. Licensure and other qualifying examinations are also allowed at 50% indoor and 70% outdoor capacity, subject to IATF approval. Religious gatherings will also be allowed at the same capacity, and this includes necrological services and funerals for those who died of causes other than COVID-19 and the remains of those who died of COVID. And government agencies and instrumentalities will remain fully operational with 50% on-site capacity. Some commuters are thinking twice about taking public transportation now that the allowed capacity in PUVs has increased. JC Cosico with the details.
Long lines welcomed commuters at the Monumento station of the EDSA bus carousel on Thursday morning. The queue stretched from the footbridge up to the other side of the road. Passenger capacity in PUVs has been increased to 70% starting today. Standing inside the bus will not be allowed. Meanwhile, some jeepneys were already overloading on the first day of implementation.
70% pinayagan sila, kaya lang sa loob, meron pa nakaupo sa gitna ng jeep. Tinatanong ko sila kung ano po ba talaga yung exact na maisakay namin para hindi naman po kami ganito. Hindi kasi pa alam, 70%. Di ko pa alam kung ilan po yung 70% po eh.
Based on guidelines, a 20-seater traditional jeepney can only accommodate up to 15 passengers, while 14-seater ones can carry up to 11 passengers. IAC said they won't apprehend violators for now.
So kinakausap po namin yung mga driver na pagtulong-tulungan natin to na wag na pong umakyat. Kasi po kung aakyat ulit ang bilang ng COVID, babalik po ulit tayo niya sa 50%.
Apart from increased capacity, jeepneys are also no longer required to install plastic barriers, but some drivers opted not to remove theirs.
Mahirap din mga talong magkahawahan.
Meanwhile, the MRT-3 can now accommodate up to 827 passengers per train set, from the usual 372 passengers. Other commuters frequently riding the MRT are now fearing for their safety.
Nag-MRT ako today kasi tumataas nga yung presyo ng gasolina.
Okay.
So, pinipili ko. Pero kung ganun, magkaka ulit ako.
The MRT management assures the public that train sets are regularly disinfected. Aside from Metro Manila, the 70% maximum capacity in public transport is also being implemented in nearby provinces like Laguna, Cavite, Rizal, and Bulacan. This will be implemented for a month. The government will then assess if the cap can be relaxed further to pre-pandemic levels. For News 5, JC Cosico, we are One News.
Despite Metro Manila returning to pre-Delta surge levels, the National Task Force Against COVID-19 emphasizes the need for booster shots. In an interview with The Big Story, NTF Against COVID-19 spokesperson Restituto Padilla said that the region still needs booster shots to stay protected. Padilla assured that the current number of vaccine deliveries in the metro is enough to start administering more doses.
Angkat tayo ng 34.8 million doses ng bakuna. So for the total month of October, we're getting a lot of vaccines daily. Our average arrivals on a daily basis is already almost 1 million or more. And we will be able to sustain this per the assurance of our vaccine czar, Secretary Galvez, and the team that is backing him up. Kaya na natin ito, no? At pwedeng pagsabay-sabayin. At doon din sa mga healthcare workers natin na kailangan na ng booster shots. Yung booster shots nila, kukunin na rin po nila sa panahon na ito at itataas po natin ang pagbabakuna para makover na yung 1.5 million na health workers. Kasi sila ang priority.
Padilla also suggested further ramping up vaccinations for all priority sectors as vaccine supply deliveries increase. The official believes that doing so would be in time for the reopening of face-to-face classes this month.
Panukala po ng pagro-roll out na ganito ay nata-timing na rin para sa pagbibigay daan sa pagkakaroon ng face-to-face classes. Kasi ang mga guro, ang mga estudyante, ang mga personnel ng mga eskwelahan ay hinahangad nating mabakunahan ng 90% para nang sa ganon, ligtas po lahat ng ating estudyante at lahat ng ating mga guro at mga nagtatrabaho sa paaralan pag tayo nagbigay daan sa face-to-face doon sa mga pilot areas.
Health Undersecretary Maria Rosario Vergeire slams the OCTA research group for their, quote, irresponsible remark regarding booster shots. Recall that yesterday, OCTA fellow Professor Guido David said that they're concerned about the waning vaccine efficacy, saying this is probably causing a spike in cases in other countries. Speaking on the chiefs, Vergeire said that OCTA should not have made the statement yet, and she added that there's still no clear connection established between waning vaccine efficacy and surging cases in other countries.
It was a very irresponsible remark. There is no basis to their statement. Giving out that statement and pushing, no? Kasi mag-i-influence po yan ng mindset ng tao and they begin to demand from the government. Ang gobyerno po hanggang sa ngayon, we're trying to complete our evidence for these boosters. At hanggang sa ngayon naman po, gusto natin antayin yung WHO na SAGE recommendation.
President Duterte insists that the International Criminal Court has no jurisdiction over the country's drug war. But if worse comes to worst, Duterte predicts who the first witness in the trial will be. More details in this report from Marian Enriquez.
President Rodrigo Duterte has again stated that he is taking full responsibility for the bloody war on drugs. Only this time, he says that most of the killings are unintentional. During the regional task force meeting of the NTF-LCAC in Puerto Princesa, Palawan, Duterte says he's only fully responsible for the drug lords or mayors that were killed in the operations.
Sa droga, hindi yan talaga sabihin mo sinadya. Pero yung mga drug lords na ni-raid tapos pinatay at yung mga mayors, akin yan. I assume full responsibility. And if there's anybody who should go to prison, it should not be the police nor the PDEA. it should be me because they were acting upon my orders.
But Duterte firmly reiterated that should he be prosecuted for the drug war, it should be by a Philippine court. Duterte insisted that the ICC has no jurisdiction over him because the Rome Statute was not published in the government's official publication. He made this comment in connection with the ongoing investigation of the International Criminal Court, or ICC, on possible crimes against humanity under his administration.
I will never accept jurisdiction. Mag-ayos na ang impyerno, hindi ang papayag dyan sa kalukuhan nila. Jurisdiction? Ako haharap ng mga judges na puti. Harap ako ng Filipino judges, hindi kayo.
Despite his continued unwillingness to cooperate on the ICC probe, Duterte says he still wants to visit and give a speech at The Hague, where the ICC resides. Should there be a trial against him, the president has this to say.
I would love to go to where that Hague court is without necessarily submitting to its jurisdiction. And worse comes to worse, kung talagang may trial, then my first witness will be Dilima. Siya man ang sige daldal. I'm not trying to pick a fight with any of you here.
For News 5, Marian Enriquez, we are One News.
Ayala Avenue welcomes back its iconic holiday lights to usher in the Christmas season. But this year's display is special for being more environment friendly. Laila Pangilinan with the story.
There's no stopping Makati City from observing its 60-year-old tradition of lighting the long stretch of Ayala Avenue to welcome the holiday season. This year's display boasts simple yet elegant designs. It's also environment friendly. 70% of the display were upcycled and recycled to lessen its carbon footprint.
We recycle the stars, that's the one. And then of course the capiz has been here for like I think 7 years. All these years we have been recycling. Number two, we were, if not the first, one of the first to use LED lights, so that lessens the electricity consumption. And then when it comes to the design, we use the basic framework, the metal part, and then we just keep on changing the cover. So we upcycle, as they say.
Among the fresh installations for this year's design are these gigantic paroles inspired by the lanterns from the country's parol capital, San Fernando, Pampanga. It's made out of canvas and cloth and has 90 LED lights per lantern. There are also some stained glass window-like displays in other parts of Ayala Avenue, inspired by cathedrals. However, the designer admits this is already the toned-down version of the lighting.
For this year, we have to be considerate because it's still pandemic, that we toned it down a bit. We thought of using the basic star because it symbolizes hope and a better future. We didn't want the usual typical Pampanga parol with all the bright colors, etc. We toned it down, we made it more classic, more elegant.
The Christmas lights and sound show at the Ayala Triangle Garden will officially kick off on November 12. And what better way to experience this than with your kids? Makati City Mayor Abby Binay sees a ray of hope for vaccinated children this Yuletide season, as pediatric inoculations for kids without comorbidities have already started yesterday.
I hope, we can only wish, and it will greatly encourage people to get vaccinated. Pag sasabihin lang, ang bakunado lang, pwede manood ng sine. Whether bata o matanda, kumain sa restaurant. Sana magkaroon ng ganun na guidelines ng IATF.
Parents wish the same thing for their kids. They look forward to the day that vaccinated kids will finally be allowed inside establishments instead of just parks and open spaces.
Naawa po ako sa mga bata kasi tutok lang sila sa gadget sa loob ng bahay. Iba pa rin yung feeling nila pag nasa labas naglalaro.
Napapanahon na Dahil sa haba naman ng quarantine period, matagal silang nagbukbuk sa kanilang bahay. So siguro ito na yung panahon na bigyan naman natin sila ng kalayaan.
But as far as MMDA Chairman Benhar Abalos is concerned, he is always open for suggestions as long as parents see the benefits of having their children fully vaccinated.
Sa akin, we must always be flexible here, no? If we have, ang tinatarget lang naman natin dito, mga 1.2 million, 1.3 million na mga bata. Pero of course, when you're dealing with children, you're dealing here with the parents, no? And of course, part na yan ng mga vaccine hesitancy. Kaya dahan-dahan ginagawa ito para makita naman ng mga tao na talagang this is safe.
For News 5, Laila Pangilinan, we are One News.
And that's how the day is shaping up to be. Join us again later at 9 a.m. as we monitor the day's biggest stories from sunrise to sundown. You can also catch One News on Signal Play. Register for a free account now at www.signalplay.com so you can stream One News live anytime and anywhere. I'm Charles Lejano. Mask on, wash hands, and stay safe, Philippines. We are One News.